rescheduled from the 13th of September. So moving on, item 1, apologies for absence.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. We have apologies from Councillors Ward, Crawford, Eperon, Fay, Moody and Hutton.
Item 2, declarations of interest. Again, I remind all members that if you have any interest in any of this evening's business, to declare it now. However, if you don't and become aware of later, you must declare it then. Councillor Mrs Johnson.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. Item 8, co-option. Mr Graham Wally is a member of the Friends Committee at the Parish Church, which I chair, so I will withdraw during that item of debate.
Thank you. Councillor Jones.
Yes, I know one of the candidates. She used to be a former neighbour of mine. I don't know whether we'd be described we know each other well enough, but she lived her house backed onto mine, so the gardens did. So I don't know whether that's deemed.
And Councillor Smith.
Same here. Option 8 is Graham Wally is a member of the Tavistock Lions, as am I.
Okay. Councillor Squire.
I think I have a friendship with one of the applicants. I just state that. I didn't realise we had to state that, but I know one.
Councillor Mann.
I spoke to one of the candidates about applying, so I am going to withdraw at the time that it comes.
Hang on. If I may, Mr. Mayor, I'm conscious that we've got, hang on, let's check, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. We've got 10 of you. We've got 10 of you here. We have potentially 1, 2, 3. We have potentially 5 members declaring an interest. That means that we will not be quorate if all those 5 members declare the interest and leave the room at the time when the decision comes to be made. Now, there are 2 options in a circumstance such as that. The first option is to defer the item till the next meeting of the Council. The other option is for those of you who may have a more informal acquaintance, but who otherwise would have been leaving the room, if you feel that having applied at the tests it would still be reasonable to do so, you can choose to stay in the room, declare your interest, not participate or vote. That will maintain the quorum and it will enable a vote to be taken. But I think it's important for each one of you to apply the tests, and the tests are, would a reasonable person in knowledge of the facts believe that your association with one of the candidates might be such as could influence your judgment. If you come to the view that is significant, then you really shouldn't be voting. If it's substantial, you really shouldn't be in the room. So I leave that with you, and I'm just conscious that because this item does come up a little bit later on the agenda, and in fairness to the candidates, can I ask the question of those 5, are there any of you who feel, having applied the test, that you would consider it appropriate to stay in the room and to not vote, but to enable the quorum to be maintained? In reality, we need 1 person to do that. Councillor Smith or Councillor Ewings. Thank you. Thank you very much, Mr. Mayor.
Thanks for clearing that one up. Item 3, to confirm the minutes of the last Town Council meeting held on Tuesday the 26th of July 2022. Is everyone happy that's a true record? Yeah. Saying that, show of hands please.
Carried.
Thank you. Are there any matters arising from those minutes? None? I'll sign them later.
Wait, is this on the regular minutes? Or is this, sorry?
Yeah, the meetings of the last Town Council meeting.
Town Council meeting, fine. Sorry.
I'll sign those later. Item 4, public representations and questions. There's been none submitted. Moving on to items requiring a decision. 5, general finance, little a, schedules of payments. To consider and endorse the monthly accounts as at the 30th of June and 31st of July 2022. Has anyone got any questions about that? No? And little b, budget monitoring report. To consider and endorse the phased budget monitoring report as at the 31st of July. Councillor Mrs Johnson.
It's not exactly to do with this, but it's to do with the announcement today about the energy prices for businesses. And sorry, I've been at work, so I haven't really caught it in any detail, and I've come straight here. I just wonder if, I know it's going to apply to charities, I just wonder if that will apply to the Town Council. I think prices are going to be frozen for 6 months, is that correct?
Town Clerk, if you may.
On the information which was available last time I looked on the government website, which was probably about 3:30, there was an indicative list of organisations who might be assisted, which mentioned businesses, charities, schools, care homes, didn't mention councils. Having said that, in the main body, it did say it would be available to all those businesses and other organisations. So I think there's a certain lack of clarity. The cautionary note I would add is my anticipation, and this is just my guess, is that councils will probably receive support. The question is whether or not government interprets town and parish councils as being a council. If you remember, under the COVID relief scheme, councils were listed, but because town and parish councils are not capable of receiving funding direct from government, they excluded town and parish councils from the benefits of that scheme. So it's the critical thing to look out for is not whether or not councils are eligible to receive support in the scheme, it's whether or not town and parish councils are, because government frequently does not treat them in the same way as it treats principal authorities. I am hoping we will get more information shortly. I have been in discussions with the National Association of Local Councils through the larger councils grouping and the super councils grouping, and there was definitely an appetite there for canvassing to try and ensure that we were mentioned, but it doesn't appear to be so yet.
Thank you, Town Clerk. Is there anything else? Okay, moving on then. Item 6, Budget and Policy. To consider the minutes of the meeting of the Budget and Policy Committee held on Tuesday the 30th of August 2022.
Thank you, Mr Deputy Mayor. Rise to present the minutes of the Budget and Policy Committee held on the 30th of August. Minute 156, apologies for absence. Minute 157, confirmation of minutes. 158, declarations of interest. 159 is reference budget preparation and precept setting. Deputy Mayor, although this minute accurately reflects the discussion that took place at Budget and Policy, in a way it does not display the gravity of the situation this Council finds itself in. Much of the false sense of security that might prevail is entirely due to the diligence and hard work of our officers in making very little funding stretch to what seems like an awful long way. If we cast our mind back as a collective organisation, not very long ago we had a list of more than 20 projects which at the time we as a council agreed, more or less all councillors agreed, that they were all desirable. How times have changed. What the report states is at the point in time it was written is that our priority project, which we know has only a short window of opportunity for work to be carried out, will really only be fundable after we build in a transfer from the rolling capital programme into revenue. We as councillors need to hope that some financial help is available from the Environment Agency. There are several other projects which could fall into places 2 and 3 on our priority list, and we have to remain confident that those will seem more likely as time passes. We are all aware that 1% increase in precept equates to about £8,000, and that the Council has adopted a view over the last few years that our precept should increase to enable parity after taking into account the loss through location the localisation of council tax? Well, we now have a situation where that measure has gone as a reference. So members, we all should be thinking about where we set the levels now, with all the external pressures now on council taxpayers of the town, and the answer and the way forward needs to be a deep and wide-ranging thought process. That's minute 159. 160, service plan for 2022-23.
Sorry.
On 159 is a recommendation that the Town Council receive the report and endorse it as a basis for the development of the draft Tavistock Town Council budget 2023-24. I move that recommendation.
I'll second it. I'll open it up to the floor for debate. Okay, thank you. Oh, sorry.
Yeah, vote.
We'll have a vote. I'm getting beyond myself, apologies. Thank you.
160, service planning 2022-23, and the recommendation that Tavistock Town Council endorse and adopt the service plan for community services as a basis for delivery of related council services in 2022-23. I move the recommendation, Mr Deputy.
I'll second that. Open up to the floor. Sorry, Councillor Venning, did you have something to say? No? Right, all in favour?
Carried.
Thank you. Councillor Smith.
161, vehicle equipment. There's a recommendation at the end of that on page 3, top of page 3. It's, I don't intend to read them all out. It's recommended, the recommendations from A to E, and I move them en bloc.
I'll second that. And if members are happy and with no objection, we'll take that vote as one for A to E. So I'll open it up to the floor for debate if there is any. None. In that case, can I have a show of hands?
Carried.
Thank you.
Mr Mayor, may I have an abstention recorded, please?
Abstention. Councillor Smith.
162, Sustainability and Environment Working Group. Recommendation again, bottom of page 3, A to E. Move those recommendations in block if you're happy.
Yeah, I'll second those. No objections. We'll take that as one. Open up for debate. Councillor Mrs Eunice.
The minute doesn't really convey, I think, as Councillor Smith has already said this evening, the impression and thanks that we, as the members of the Budget and Policy Committee, had of the report that had been written. How in full, informative. I mean, it was pages and pages long. It was really informative with photographs where they could. And I just feel that the minute doesn't really convey that we had a good debate about it, and actually there was an awful lot in it. So I don't know whether we can just slightly strengthen it, Mr Town Clerk.
We will add in the council minutes the commendation which was received from the floor for the content and form of the report.
Thank you.
And I can go on record now to commend Councillor Mann for the hard work she done. So thank you.
Yeah, it was amazing.
So if there's no more points, we've got proposed, seconded. Show of hands, please.
Carried.
Thank you. Councillor Smith.
163, wind map copyright. Request to lodge with the National Library of Scotland. Recommended that Tavistock Town Council endorse the request in principle, subject to reserving its final position as to whether, how, to proceed pending clarification from the National Library of Scotland of the options available in respect of copyright protection. I'm not sure whether that's advanced, Mr Town Clerk, or is it still the situation?
Sir, it's pending the outcome of this meeting.
Move recommendation.
I'll second that. Open up to debate. If there's no debate, can I have a show of hands, please? All in favour?
Carried.
Thank you. Councillor Smith.
164 bus shelters. The recommendation endorse the approach outlined in paras 231.1 to 2314 of the report, extend the existing terms for a further 11 years to the year 2041, adopting the format used with DCC, authorise the General Manager to agree the installation schedule, advertising programme and to sign the contract on behalf of TTC. Move the recommendation.
I'll second that. Open up to the floor for debate. Councillor Mann.
I just wanted to say that I've been approached by several people in the community around this particular issue, and I felt that the General Manager had done a really great job of representing the Council on it, and you know, as a result, there's not really much to say, but it is a really good solution for the community, so well done.
Thank you. Any other points? All in favour?
Carried.
Item circulated for information only. 165 Guildhall Gateway Centre project evaluation. 166 Town Marketing. 167 Guildhall Gateway Centre operating costs. 168 Market Road update. 169 Public Conveniences update. Mr Deputy Mayor, I beg to move there. The rest are after the part 2 of the meeting.
Thank you, Councillor Smith. Moving on. Item 7, Development, Management and Licensing Committee. Councillor Mann.
I rise to present the minutes from the 9th of August. Do I need to present these minutes?
Yeah.
Yeah, we haven't done them yet, have we? Got it. Okay. So 146, apologies for absence. 147, confirmation of minutes. 148, declarations of interest. 149, Dartmoor National Park Authority. 150, town planning issues. 151, general correspondence. 152, neighbourhood development plan. 153, urgent business brought forward at the discretion of the chairman. 154, planning decisions and applications. A, we noted this was an application for 77 West Street with the church. And we were going to look at why conditional planning consent had been granted due to Tavistock Town Council's objection to the application. And B, those are the recommendations from us regarding the new planning applications that were being considered at that meeting. So I guess we need to vote to support that, yeah?
Yeah, so
B.
you're moving the minutes.
Well, not the minutes, but recommendation at 154B recommended that the views of the council be in Appendix B be passed to the local planning authority.
I'll second that. All in favour?
Carried.
Right. And then we have a second set of development management and licensing minutes, which is the meeting from the 31st of August. So 174, apologies for absence. 175, confirmation of minutes. 176, declarations of interest. 177, Dartmoor National Park Authority. 178, town planning issues. 179.
Councillor Johnson.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. The person named in this item on the agenda was, as far as I know, never a town councillor. So if that could be amended. Thank you.
Councillor Ewins.
This item is also quite difficult because in Bishopsmead, I think it's Bishopsmead, isn't it, Anne? Or is it Tiddyborough? Tiddyborough. There is a woodcock close, I think it is, isn't there? But there is already a road in Tavistock with the name Woodcock in it.
Councillor Mann.
Right, there was no recommendation there. There was just an acknowledgement that we would consider the use of that name. But if we already have a Woodcock Avenue in Tavistock, maybe it will be Woodcock Street. We'll address that when we get to it, that gets raised again. We haven't got one in front of us at the time. 180, Neighbourhood Development Plan. The only thing I would just say under this one is that the meeting was obviously cancelled due to the death of Her Majesty. So we have moved that to tomorrow night. So the meeting is taking place tomorrow instead of the 14th of September as is listed in that minute. And 181, urgent business brought forward. 182, planning decisions. A and B is where we have a recommendation that the views of the Town Council is listed in Appendix B be passed to the local planning authority for consideration. And I move that recommendation be. Yeah.
I'll second that.
All in favour? And then 183, next meeting is actually going to need to be amended as well because that is listed as the 20th of September, but again, that was moved due to the morning period, and that is happening on the 27th of September at 5:30 instead.
Thank you, Councillor Mann. Item 8, co-option of the Tavistock South West Ward. Now, if members are in agreement, we will take no questions for the candidates this evening, as not all three are in attendance. I believe the Town Clerk will read Mr Wally's application, and we shall be shortly hearing from our other two candidates. Members agreeable to that? Yeah, thank you. So,
Can I just confirm? So we've got Councillors Mann and Johnson who've stepped outside. The other three councillors are staying but not participating, who indicated an association. I'm assuming Councillor Ewing, Smith and Squire. So can I ask then, we've got Mr Pearce first. Can I ask Ms Irvine if you could step outside, and what we'll do is we'll then ask Mr Pearce to step outside. If you'd like to step forward, Mr Pearce, and perhaps address the council from in front of the press, just to really say a little bit about why you've put your name forward.
Hello everyone. So I grew up in Lamberton, around Tavistock. Stayed there for 20 years until I went to university in Bristol. Came back, worked a little bit, went to London, came back, started a family. So I know the area well. I went to schools, played for football teams, pushed trolleys at Safeway when it was that. So the opportunity's come up, and I just thought it was a good idea to help serve the community. Now I've got some time to do it. A bit older, so I'm a bit more mature to take decisions. I've got qualifications in law, health and safety, mediation, insurance. I manage a small team at Derek Hospital. So I've got some skills and expertise to offer. And now's a good time to throw my hat in the ring and see if I can do so. And it's wood and pepper weighted.
Thank you very much. All members have had all submissions by the office. If you'd like to just address them in front of the press.
Yeah.
Yeah, and if you'd just like to say a little bit about why you put your name forward.
Yes. So my name's Julie. Thank you for considering my application. I recently moved back to Tavistock, having moved away as a teenager. I went to school here and grew up here, and I spent the last 10 years working in Bristol in the community. And when I moved back to Tavistock, I wanted to get involved in the community here. So I started a community choir. I'm a musician, and I've played at the Wharf and at various different town events. And I also teach local students. So I feel like I've met a really large demographic of people through that, from teenagers all the way up to the elderly. And I feel that the community in Tavistock is a really proud community, and I find it very inspiring. I'm really interested in council business. I think that trying to make decisions when you have to take into account the history of the town and the heritage must be quite difficult, whilst also trying to move with the times and make sure you're representing the whole community. So that's something that I feel like I understand, and feel quite passionate about. I feel strongly about community in general, I feel strongly about equality, I feel strongly about representing the whole community of Tavistock, including minority groups. I think that I'm a strong communicator, and I have a real passion for being part of the decision-making process in the town, because this is where I grew up and this is where I want to now, where I'm back, make my home.
Thank you.
Just to both know what we're going to do.
So, members, we can have a proposer and seconder for... oh, apologies. Yeah, I kept you on myself again. We're now going to hear from the town clerk with Mr. Wally's application.
Thank you, Mr. Deputy Mayor. Right, I have in the past thought about becoming a councillor and being able to listen to people talking about Tavistock and their opinions on how to improve everything to make it a thriving town with lots to offer. I would be happy if I could do something to help, and becoming a local councillor would be a great place to start. I would learn a lot and have a say in discussions about improving facilities, roads and all other aspects of council. I am a good listener and not afraid to put my own opinion forward. As a newcomer, I would gain experience in how a council operates and its past achievements and future projects. This co-option is an ideal opportunity to work with experienced councillors, and if successful, would be glad to put myself forward for proper election next year and look forward to serving the community. And his links with the community are, I worked for I think it's Hind Taxis for 7 years. I'm a loyal churchgoer and hold the position of church warden at St Eustatius, amongst other duties. I belong to the Lions, a member of Tavistock Sir Francis Drake Bowling Club, concert manager at the church and a friend of St Eustatius, helping to raise funds for nominated projects. That concludes the submissions from the 3 prospective candidates, Mr. Mayor.
Councillor Venning.
I'm afraid I have to declare an interest in this because my papers are voluntary. That's just great, and I know it's not personally.
So you'll be declaring an interest as Councillor Smith and Councillor Squire and Councillor Ewings, but you won't be participating in the discussion or voting on the candidates. Thank you.
Okay, so do you want a proposer and seconder first, or should we open it up for debate?
I think it's a matter as to whether or not there are any comments members wish to make. Otherwise, it would be to invite someone to make a proposition from amongst the candidates who have been submitted.
So, from those select few, are there any comments to make? Councillor Squire, you've got that interest, haven't you?
Can I speak?
I think you declared an interest earlier on, so it would probably be prudent to remain but not participate, given the fact that you've registered an interest in the meeting.
Councillor Ewings?
Is it democratic that it comes down to 3 councillors out of 17 to vote for one person? I'm not very happy.
Comes down to 4.
Oh, where have we gone? 1, 2, 3.
And Councillor Lewis?
I thought he did declare an interest.
No.
I would be very uncomfortable making a choice of one, because I think I've heard enough from the 2 that spoke to think that we'd love both of them, but that's my personal.
Thank you. Councillor Lewis, anything?
I totally agree with Councillor Williamson.
Councillor Smith, anything to add?
If it's a wish, your wish as chairman to go ahead with the process, then you're looking for a nomination. It's how do you choose between 2 that have actually spoken here? But if you're looking for a proposal, I'll propose Ms Irving.
I would be inclined, Mr Town Clerk, to defer this. I take on board Councillor's points. We do have a proposal, but I would be inclined to defer this to the next full council meeting in view of the fact that the three...
Mr Deputy Mayor, I'll withdraw my proposal and be happy to support moving it to the next meeting.
Thank you.
Could I just add, my personal situation is I plan to retire, whatever it is, at the end of this term. I would be more than happy to retire early if it generated a situation where one of the two that spoke today could apply for a post in Tavistock North, or whatever you call it, a seat in Tavistock North. I'm, very happy to do that, to give them insight and the opportunity to run if they wanted to in the next elections as just input to this council.
Thank you.
I've told the mayor, the current mayor, that I'm not standing at the next election, so he knows that.
So in the interest of democracy, we'll defer this to the next council meeting. Town Clerk, do you have a comeback for Councillor Williamson at all?
I think perhaps that's a conversation to be had in a less public forum.
Right, okay.
We are being streamed. From a practical perspective, then, if I invite the candidates back in, if you could advise them of the decision that it will be deferred to the next meeting in view of the number of councillors disabled from being able to participate in the discussion.
Thank you. So, Mr Pearce, Ms Irvine, thank you ever so much for coming. However, we have found ourselves a bit curtailed because there was only 4 councillors that were able to vote on this matter. Therefore, in the interest of democracy, we are going to defer the decision to the next meeting, and I would like to invite you back then to address the council again, and hopefully Mr Wally will be able to attend as well, and we'll be able to ask questions then, and we should have a fuller council, and we will come to a decision, but this is local government, so the wheels turn slowly sometimes. So thank you for coming, and hope to see you next time. Councillor Squire.
Chair, what is the date of the next council meeting? That's crucial.
Well, it's on your programme.
But not theirs.
They will be informed.
Thank you.
So, with that put to bed quite quickly, councillors please. Items circulated for information only. Item 9. To receive for information the following service report, General Manager's report. Has anyone got anything to say? Councillor Mann.
Just to say how wonderful the bespoke frame is for the Drake panel. It fits perfectly above the sidewalk, and it looks exactly the same as it did when we first installed it, which I'm very glad to see as well.
Hear, hear. Councillor Smith.
Just there's thanks from myself and both the museum and the subscription library for the movement that's taking place on the rainwater goods in that area.
And think, and I'd just like to reiterate Councillor Mann's words and express appreciation to all those involved in getting that board up. I know it's caused a lot of extra work for some, so thank you. Pannier Market report. Anything, Councillor Mann?
I noticed that Dwayne had put some information here about the Coach Drivers Initiative, and having looked at the marketing strategy earlier that was commissioned, I wondered, had they spoken to Dwayne at that point, because it did seem that there's quite a lot going on in our own Coach Drivers Initiative that wasn't documented in part of that marketing survey. So I wanted to commend him for moving forward on that particular aspect of the town marketing.
Anything else? 3, Works Department report. Any points to make? Councillor Mr Johnson.
Thank you, Mr Deputy Mayor. I'd just like to say well done to the whole of the Works Department for the replacement of the bench on Callington Road. It's been sorely missed, and it's looking great, and I've seen lots of people stopping there to have a bit of a rest before they do the rest of the hill. So well done, and if that's the way that things are going to move on now that we've taken over the whole responsibility for it, that's a really positive thing, so thank you.
Number 4, Town Hall and Butchers Hall report. Councillor Ewins.
I'd just like to say what an excellent first report from this officer, this new officer. It's a really good, clear report, and to actually say that all the reports are really clear and you can see the progress that's being made with projects and works going on.
Thank you. Item 10, Guildhall Gateway Centre. I'm pleased to inform you that we have received yet another award from the Cornwall Buildings Group and Cornwall West Devon Mining Landscape. We haven't actually been presented an award as yet, but that will happen, and I'm sure the town clerk will get himself in the paper again.
I think it'll be others. Just to advise, we've been notified that we will receive the award. The ceremony was due to take place, unfortunately, during the period which fell within National Mourning, and therefore the ceremonies are going to be reorganised by the Cornwall Buildings Group and the Cornwall and West Devon Mining Landscape World Heritage Site on a date to be arranged. So we don't have it, as the Deputy Mayor said, yet, but we are assured of it.
Item 11, Finance and Other Matters. Little A, report of the assistants to the town clerk. Any points or questions? Anything to add? Councillor Mann.
I just wanted to report back on the training that Councillor Squire and myself went on for the NDP, which was giving councils a say on housing. It was really useful, incredibly useful slides, which I've passed on to the entire steering group, and they have found useful as well.
Have you got anything to add at all, Mrs. Monaco? Thank you.
Mr Deputy Mayor.
Councillor Ewins.
May I just inform, I have done Finance Without Numbers course run by the LGA today, and there's another one for chairing. They're run by the Local Government Association. Do they count or not? No, that's what I'm telling you now.
I think they would probably go on your training record for West Devon Borough Council, who are a member of the LGA, whereas we're not. So it'll be a different training record, but we will still clock the fact that you have them. Thank you.
Little B, Town Hall and Markets Consultative Group notes the meeting held on the 6th of September 2022. Councillor Smith.
Yeah, just perhaps the Chairman could advise us if he's aware of any movement on methods of discouraging the pigeons, feeding of pigeons in the square. Are we going to put up notices, or what are we going to do?
As I'm one of the primary culprits, I suspect there will be very little done on that matter, so I am not progressing it in my own role.
Squire repeat? Because I think most of us didn't understand that.
I understood that Councillor Smith was asking about the feeding of pigeons in the square. As I am the primary culprit in that matter, I refuse to make any comment. Is that clear? Thank you.
Mr Deputy Mayor, that doesn't actually answer the question. I mean, the minute does say that we are going to, and it is an important point for many people in the town who particularly try and sit in the square or whatever, the pigeons are a bit of a problem. I just wonder, it does say that we're going to discourage them, and we're going to discourage the feeding of them, and I'm just concerned that we need to know how we're actually going to do that.
So if Councillor Squire cannot answer that question directly, is the General Manager able to enlighten us?
I'll report back in my next General Manager's report on what methods we will be looking at to deal with the pigeon issue in and around the market complex.
Thank you, Mr General Manager.
Councillor Ewings?
May I just say that a few years ago a market trader was feeding the pigeons and had sacks of pigeon food in her car. She was reprimanded most strongly from the council and was told to desist from encouraging the pigeons. One rule for one, or... Okay. All right.
Mr Town Clerk?
Parking the more difficult aspects of it, I think the one observation I would make is that all the advice currently is to avoid feeding flocks of birds, whether it's pigeons, whether it's ducks. As you'll know, we do have an outbreak of avian flu in the West Country. Anything which brings together large numbers of birds has the potential to spread that and to cause damage both in the wildlife environment and, of course, within commercial flocks of poultry. So I think it's probably something which there is a specific set of circumstances at the moment, in addition to the normal issues around encouraging vermin and problems, social problems that go with it, which we do need to be mindful of because of the current restrictions regarding avian flu in Devon, Cornwall and I think Somerset.
Thank you, Mr Town Clerk. Any other points on that? Then we shall move on very quickly. C. Goose Fair Consultative Group notes the meeting held on the 1st September 2022. Any points to make on that? D. Devon County Council's report as provided by Councillor Sellis enclosed. Unfortunately, we don't have Councillor Sellis tonight, but does anyone have anything to say about that report? No. Moving on. E. To receive any update from or questions to council representatives serving on other outside bodies in connection with the work of those bodies. Councillor Smith.
Thank you, Mr Deputy Mayor. I'm your representative currently on the Museum Trust. Just to advise Council that the current Trust is transitioning to become a CIO, a charitable incorporated organisation. It is currently in the process of transferring its trustees and its assets to the new organisation. And also there is a meeting which is to be scheduled between Tavistock Town Council representatives and representatives from the new trust.
Thank you, Councillor Smith. And feedback from members from their attendance at any training sessions? Nothing to note. No report from the meeting was received from West Devon Borough Councillor D. Turnbull. Councillor Ewings, as a double hatter, can I get you to encourage your fellow councillors to get reports in on time? It really is a valuable link between us and up the hill. Thank you.
I will, Mr Deputy Mayor. All I can say is Not a lot has happened over the summer, but that doesn't excuse no report. Full meetings commence again next Tuesday.
Okay, thank you. Item 12, to receive such communications or reports as may be submitted by the Town Mayor or Deputy. I have nothing. And the Town Clerk's got nothing for me, so that's good. And urgent matters brought forward at the discretion of the Town Mayor or Deputy. I've got nothing. Which leaves us on to item 14, exclusion of the press and public.
Move part 2.
Thank you. Thanks for coming.